In this presentation, I'm going to illustrate the concept of interoperability. This is a key concept in WebGIS. Interoperability means the ability to convert or use a data set or find a common format for a data set that allows that data to be used in various places, both on the desktop and in the cloud, and on a variety of software such as ArcGIS Online and Google Earth, both. So let's start with a more traditional so-called desktop GIS, which you can see here. In this case, the data set is on the computer where I'm sitting. The software is running on my computer as well. It's called ArcMap, or the desktop version of ArcGIS, and the user, who is me, is sitting here as well. So this is a very traditional setup for GIS, and very, very useful and very potent. However, this course is about sharing data throughout the web and finding various cloud solutions to GIS and geographic related problems. So how do we make this data set, how do we make this application more interoperable? Well, what I have here, a specific example, is the property boundary of the Gates-Chili School District, and the high school and the junior high school are visible, and there's the Route 490, are visible on the base map that I have loaded called OpenStreetMap, which is a cloud resource, by the way. It's a amazing set of roads and other features on the earth that's in the cloud and available to anybody for free. It's very much like Wikipedia is for an encyclopedia. And here's the boundary. It's drawn in red. In order for this to be interoperable in the way that I want, I need to convert this to a common format or to another format, or export to another usable format. In this case, what I would like to export as is to turn this data set, which is in the ArcMap traditional shapefile format, which we'll get into a little more later, into a format which is compatible with Google Earth, which is the web or cloud software that I'd like to just use as an illustration of this interoperability example. So the first thing I can do is specify which layer I'd like to export. I'm going to let this go into my general working folder, and I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. And shortly we'll see that we have a success. And what's just happened is this desktop format of a version of this data, this particular boundary of the high school, has now been converted to a KML, which is a very compact and universal data format, which can be transferred easily, can be put in the cloud, can be included within Google Maps or Google Earth itself. So now let's see how that actually manifests itself, how that actually shows up in reality. I'm going to go to my working directory here, and there's my KMZ file, which you'll note is only 3 kilobytes. So that's a very important benefit. If I double click on that, the computer will recognize that it is a Google Earth compatible type data set, and the program will zoom in, and this boundary, which formerly was data, was information which lived only on my desktop, I created it here and it only lives here, is now available in the Google Map application, Google Earth application, and I can go ahead and look at this boundary. I'm making a mess here, and look at this boundary from most any angle. And it's also quite interesting to note that Google Earth now in many locations actually has 3D imagery of all their photography. So we do have this 3D imagery available to view, and also the other data layer, which formerly was not an actual part of Google Earth, is now we have now sent it to Google Earth, and we can trace the boundary, much of which is hidden in border trees. We can actually trace that boundary around the school district and find out exactly where the driveway is and what and etc. And this is quite a useful technique because previously a Google Earth user only had the what was supplied directly with Google Earth. Now we have taken other GIS information and added it into the web application.